Hello guys, welcome to the new video. In this video, I'm gonna discuss this problem number C from today's Codeforces contest. So let's go through the problem statement. Basically, you are given that there are n plus 1 villages and 2n minus 1 directed roads in the city. And there are two kind of roads. N minus 1 roads are from village I to I plus 1 for all I from 1 to n minus 1. And then n roads can be described by a sequence a1 a2 up to an. Now if ai equal to 0, then that means the ith of these roads goes from village I to village n plus 1. Otherwise, it goes from village n plus 1 to village I for all I from 1 to n. Okay. Now Mocha plans to go hiking with Taki this weekend, and to avoid the trip being boring, they plan to go through every village exactly once. Now they can start at and finish at any villages. Now can you help them to draw up the plan? So basically you have to, what you have to do, that you're given a variable n which represent that there are there are n plus 1 villages in total. And also you know that for all I from 1 to n minus 1 there is a edge from I to I plus 1. Okay, so let's mark them. Okay, suppose you are given this n, so there are villages named 1, 2, 3 up to n minus 1, then n and n plus 1. Okay, so there are total n plus 1 villages. Now the first kind of road is basically, I'm talking about this point. So there is road from I to I plus 1, and they are directed roads, so you cannot go back. All right. And apart from that, you're given an array of size n, so where each number is either 0 or 1. Okay. So if the number is 0, it represents, if your current I is this and the number is 0, that means there is a road from this to n plus 1. And if it is 1, suppose you are here and it is 1, then it means there is a road from n plus 1 to that particular I. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to print these numbers in order, the order in which they are going to go from one village to another. Okay, and what the task is that you should not print one village more than once. That is, they should visit each and every village exactly once. Now, how is that possible? Okay, suppose if you start from the one village number one, so you can go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, like that you can cover up to n. So the only thing which will be left, only village which will be left is n plus 1. All right. Now how you can go to n plus 1? Okay, so if there is 0 at index number n, that means there is an edge from n to n plus 1. In that case, you can travel from, after you reach n, you can just go to n plus 1, as simple as that. Or if there is at index 1 the value is 1, which means there is an edge from n plus 1 to 1. And since this is also given that you can basically start your journey from any village. So if this is the case, then you can start your journey n from n plus 1. From n plus 1, you can go to index number 1. Then from 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, like that you can go up to n. So the whole journey will be completed and you will visit every index exactly once. Now apart from these two cases, when you can complete this journey in by visiting every village exactly once. So suppose these numbers are given, if you will notice properly, you can see that if there is a 0 at some index I and 1 at another index I plus 1. If you find this situation, then from starting you can come up to this ith position, then from ith position you can go to n plus 1 position, then from n plus 1 you can come back to I plus 1, and from I plus 1 you can complete the rest of the list till n. So whenever you find this case that at ith there is 0 and I plus 1 there is 1, then you can what you can do, you can come from 1 to I, then you can go to n plus 1, then from n plus 1 you can come to I plus 1, and then from I plus 1 you can go up to n. Apart from this, there isn't any case which will be giving you the required result. Like suppose if this is not the case, this is zeros, 1 is somewhere else, or this is 1. So after coming to 0th position, you can go to n plus 1 position, but from n plus 1 position, you can go only where there is 1. So if that one is not adjacent to that 0, then in that case, you won't be able to reach these index without repeating. Like if here is 1, then if you come here, you can only go forward. So in order to reach these cells, you have to again, if there is 1 at somewhere, then you have to again, if there is 0 at somewhere, from here to here, then you have to again go to n plus 1, and then from n plus 2 1, if it is possible, you have to go like that. So basically all you have to check is if there is 0 at n position, then you can directly go from 1 to n, then n to n plus 1. Or if there is 1 at position number 1, then simply you can come from n plus 1 to 1, and from 1 you can go to n. Otherwise, you have to check between 1 and n minus 2. Between 1 and n minus 1, you have to check if there is 0 at I and 1 at I plus 1. In that case, you can come from 1 to I, then you can go to n plus 1, and then from I plus 1, you can n plus 1, from n plus 1 you can come back to I plus 1, and then you can complete your rest of journey till n. Apart from that, there is no case possible for which you can visit every village exactly once. Okay, so as simple as that. Let's see how we can code this. Okay, all right. So here it is. Basically, we are given n. After that, we are taking n positions, n input from I equal to 1 to I less than equal to n. So this array I value will be either 0 or 1. So we are just checking if there is 0 at nth position. In that case, we will just print from 1 to n plus 1. Or if there is 1 at 1th position at index number 1, then in that case, we will print first n plus 1, because we will be starting our journey from n plus 1. And then we will come to 1 index 1, and from 1 we will go up to n, like that. Otherwise, from I equal to 1, we will travel while I is less than n, and we will check if array I equal 0 and array I plus 1 equal 1. Whenever we meet this condition, before meeting this condition, we are just pushing vector I in vector v, we are pushing index I. When we reach at index I, such that at index I there is 0 and I plus 1 there is 1, so we will push index I, then we will, from index I we will go to index n plus 1, so we will push that, then we are incrementing our I, and the flag equal to true. So flag equal to true is basically representing that we have met this condition. So if that is the case, then again, since I is at I plus 1, then from I plus 1 we are going up to n. So we are just pushing those elements in our vector v, and we are printing all elements. That's it. And if that is not the case, then we are printing -1. That's it. So this is exactly fine. You can see we are reaching every index exactly once. For this case, we are at 1, then we go to index 2, then we go to index 3, then at 3 there is 0, that means we can go to 3 plus 1, that is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which is correct. And for the first one, there is 0 at index 1, so which means, okay, okay, so there is, yeah, so there is 0 at index 1 and 1 at index 2, so we just met this condition. So from index number 1 we will go to n plus 1, which is 4, then from n plus 4 we are coming back to I plus 1, and then we are completing the start from journey. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.